Now, so Kweku, when you look at the response, commencing from paragraph 16 of the presidency's explanation, and let's be frank about it, the presidency issued what you can clearly say is a rather, measured and tempered response, looking and focusing on the issues. Now, they say that in 2018, an amount of 1 million was released to your office to enable it undertake setup activities. In June 2018, your office requested and was granted commencement authorization to incur capital expenditure of almost 3 million. You failed to make a request for payment in respect of the related procurement. Now, if you read further, the suggestions, and I'm sure as you start the discussion, you will also read, will be that money was made available to him. He was practically not accessing the money because you must access the money to have it. And when he had to make appointments, they gave him enough money, made clearance for the appointment of recruitment of 249 staff. 249 staff. Yet the special prosecutor ended up not utilizing that window of opportunity and recruited only 2 persons. So he should not be blaming anybody for seconded staff who are working with him that he suggests he doesn't have control over. When it comes to setting up the office also, they gave a litany of issues where the special prosecutor, on the face of the release, was the one to blame.
See, my scrutiny of some official documents and records point to the fact that there was no lack of commitment from the executive, in this case the presidency, to collaborate, and I use the word adversedly, collaborate with the office of the special prosecutor and the special prosecutor himself to deliver an efficient office in terms of accommodation, logistics, and things. Abundant evidence of communications, exchanges between the office of the special prosecutor and the presidency, especially the office of the chief of staff, who appears to be the point person the special prosecutor was dealing quite often with. So both sides apparently had a certain commitment to deliver on the office. For instance, if we are talking of the accommodation, I hear this is 3-bedroom or so.
Plus boys' quarters.
Yes, so I've been there once, but I didn't go doing, an audit.
Inspection.
Inspection of the thing, so I'm not sure. But I found, I was able to assess the tenancy agreement, the letter of the tenancy agreement. And it's still not sufficient, but I need to put it in perspective. I realized that the building comprises a 4-bedroom story building and a 2-bedroom bungalow. This is it. So if you realize you were talking about 6 rooms, but as I said, I didn't do an audit or an inspection, so you can't tell. But whatever it is, I'm not sure it is a substitute for the kind of office the special prosecutor envisaged. And because the executive also agreed that that was a temporary facility, both sides were cooperating or collaborating to look for the effective one. If you read the parliamentary report on the Office of the Special Prosecutor for 2020, that is titled the Report of the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs on the annual budget estimates of the Office of the Special Prosecutor for the year 2020, financial year. which is dated December 2019. On page 7, it says new office building for the Office of Special Prosecutor. The Special Prosecutor informed the committee that the plan to move the offices to an appropriate office accommodation in 2019 could not materialize due to the fact that the building, which was finally secured with the help of His Excellency the President, had certain structural defects which need to be remedied by the original contractor before it could be repurposed as offices for the OSP. Given that the 2019 budget of the OSP was prepared on the assumption that the new office facility will be made available, among others, to accommodate 249 staff which were to be recruited in the year, and the establishment of a tender entity committee to make the necessary procurements, the accommodation situation significantly hampered the implementation of planned programs and activities of the OSP in the year under review. I think you've seen, I'm sure, correspondence and communications that showed that both sides were still in pursuit of a decent, suitable office for the office of the Special Prosecutor. You try to alert Prof about the subculture. I agree with Prof that it's not a good culture. I mean, this lack of efficiency, no fast track, but it is so pervasive. Look, Parliament, you know the parliamentary offices, Job 600, including the offices they want to create. It started from the Rollins time, 1997, 98. Of course, a combination of factors like financial, difficulties and all that. I'm not sure they've completed the entire thing they wanted to do. So it's not peculiar to the Office of Special Prosecutor. And it is true that Martin has been in public service for a long time, so would know about this culture. Look, it needed patience, a certain level of self-restraint, some level of mutual respect to get this thing going. Because see, the Office of Special Prosecutor is something we all advocated. Parliament went through the process. You see, apart from being a party manifesto pledge, once it went to Parliament and both sides began to deal with it in the bipartisan way, the party clout was gone. The act was passed. Beyond that, the assent was given by the president. Then beyond that too, we had subsidiary legislation processes. It took a collaboration between the Attorney General's office and the Special Prosecutor, okay, to fashion out. Even that has some challenges. If you recall, there were times the Special Prosecutor complained about delay here and there. But
we all complained.
Yes, but
he needed it to be able to function.
Okay, exactly.
And it was done, and the board was set up.
Fantastic. Yeah. So the board too was. So look, there was a commitment to ensure that this new creature of law was formed and becomes functional. In my candid opinion, I believe some lack of understanding. Okay.
Okay. In respect of the office accommodation.
Yeah.
I think that it is only fair that at least I read these paragraphs of the response.
Yeah.
So among other things, from paragraph 23, they went to a point and say that his insinuations and assertions are unfounded, and said it is evident that responsibility for this situation, that's the lack of accommodation, can be attributable only to your good self. Your office rejected various allocations of suitable accommodation, with the result that you remained at your present accommodation by choice and not some grand design by government to ensure your office didn't function as it should. 24. On the 17th of September 2018, a meeting was held at the office of the Chief of Staff, at which you were present, to explore means of addressing the urgent challenges of the Office of Special Prosecutor, one of which undoubtedly was accommodation. A committee was set up to identify a building suitable for housing the office. The committee set out immediately to embark on the search for accommodation for office. On 18th October 2018, a cluster of buildings consisting of one two-story building and two single-story buildings were identified opposite the Bank Hospital at Cantonment, Accra. On the 20th of September 2018, the committee, together with the Deputy Chief of Staff, your good self, your secretary, and other staff of your office, inspected the buildings. After the inspection, you expressed satisfaction with the buildings. A team from the Ministry of Works and Housing immediately took measurements and was ready to undertake the necessary alterations to meet the specific demands of your office. On the 21st of September 2018, you invited a team from the Architectural Engineering Services Limited, AESL, to inspect and expedite action on the renovation works. Surprisingly, on the 4th of October 2018, you placed a telephone call to the Chief of Staff to indicate preference for another building belonging to the erstwhile Ghana National Trading Corporation, GNTC, close to the British High Commission at Ridge, instead of the cluster of buildings opposite the Bank Hospital. On the same 4th October 2018, the Chief of Staff, by letter, they quote the date and reference, instructed the Ministry of Trade and Industry to release the building to your office. In order to secure that building for your office, the Office of the President actually constructed a fence wall to ward off encroachers while processes were initiated to award the contract for the renovation of the building. While the renovation of the GNTC building was underway, you halted the works and requested that a 10-story building at Ridge belonging to the GET Fund be renovated instead for occupation by your office. The Office of the President once again obliged this request. It is noteworthy that this particular building had been allocated to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, which had actually paid for the place, and yet priority was given to your office, and GIPC was asked to relinquish the same. On the 2nd of April 2019, a meeting was convened at the Office of the President with officers of GET Fund, at which you were present, to discuss the roadmap for the renovation of the building for use by your office. On the 3rd of April 2019, representatives of your office and officers from Consa Limited and Messrs. Evans, Amfum and Associates met to conduct a joint inventory and inspection of defects with the facility. You subsequently generated your own list of defects contained in an 8-page document. The contractor nonetheless graciously accepted, compared and merged the defects earlier jointly identified with you. By May 2020, Messrs. Consa Limited had carried out all the remedial works on the building, and same was certified by GET Fund as ready to be handed over to the office. On the 10th of July 2020, you wrote to the Office of the President informing that the procurement plan for your office for 2020 had been approved, and that the award of a single source contract for the conversion of the 10-story building owned by GET Fund into a suitable office accommodation with appropriate demarcations was part of the approval plan. The Office of the President granted the Office of the Special Prosecutor permission to initiate procurement processes for the award of single source procurement, blah, blah. And then they came to this point, which I like to end on. They say that the Chief of Staff informed you that the GET Fund building was ready for occupation by your office and requested a convenient date to hand over the building to you. You refused to do so. And in your letter, you stated, he wrote a letter and stated, quote, "It is my considered view that if your proposal for handing over the GET Fund building to the Office of the Special Prosecutor was wittingly made on a settled conviction that you have been able to secure a fitting accommodation with all divisions for occupation by the OSP, then the proposal ought to have been made to His Excellency the President to fix a date for the public commissioning of the building for the occupation of this office without any further delay." And that's where we came to the point where they said the keys had been handed to a messenger to be, as it were, he returned the keys to them because he didn't like the manner in which things had been done. Yes, you can conclude your point.
And that's the point I'm making, that some level of patience, mutual respect, self-restraint, across board. There's no big deal at all. It takes time to put up that kind of structure, that kind of office with all the facilities and everything. If both sides understand that this is the basis, we are proceeding. It's no big deal at all. It should not lead to a situation where a special prosecutor quits. It's not insufficient ground as an item relative to all the issues that have been put together. If I take the office accommodation matter, it ought not to have triggered any bad blood at all. And there's enough evidence to show that both sides were collaborating. Indeed, with all the challenges, it's true, there were times the special prosecutor declined to take this facility after he had accepted, fine, all do, but still, knowing the nature of that office and the purpose, the project behind it, an overriding public national interest was such that, look, don't let that be a distraction. Don't let it be an obstacle. Pursue the cause of having a decent, efficient office. And I say there's enough evidence to show the executive was committed to that option. There are many other issues, but you started me from...
Yeah, we will get to... We wanted to deal with the logistical or operational issues, and then we'll come to the questions of, impediment by way of what he says, interference.
Okay.
Yes. So if you want to talk about the staffing issues too, do you think that the presidency is right in suggesting that that was the job of the OSP and they had approved the funds and he was just not accessing the funds and he should blame himself?
You see, from beginning, in fact, let's also recognize the fact that there was a transitional period. After the legislative processes had been done and the appointment had been done on February 23rd, 2018, he was given the instrument of appointment. That is more substantive than the subsequent appointment letters we are talking about. I could come to that subsequently.
Yeah, Prof has said that effectively.
Yes,
yeah.
It's, to be honest with you, in terms of staffing, look, in the transitional phase, if I can read 2 or 3 things to show you.
Go ahead.
I think the most important thing is a letter dated 10th September 2018 from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, just to give you the trajectory, how things went. This letter was addressed to the Chief of Staff, and he makes the point about the legislative process was started in 2017 and culminated in coming into force in January 2018 of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act, Act 959. The Special Prosecutor was sworn into office on 23rd February 2018 and shown a small rented and furnished office accommodation at Yantrabi Road, Labone. In time, 1 Toyota Cruiser V8 and a Nissan Saloon car were subsequently made available to the Special Prosecutor for his official assignments in place of the personal vehicles of the Special Prosecutor, which he had been using for that purpose. Now, at the request of the Special Prosecutor, on 10th April 2018, a senior private secretary, and on 11th April 2018, a records officer respectively reported for duty on secondment to the Office of the Special Prosecutor by the head of Civil Service. A chief accountant also reported for duty on the 2nd May 2018 on secondment from the Controller and Accountant General's Department at the request of the Special Prosecutor. On 29th May 2018, the Deputy Special Prosecutor was sworn into office. She reported to the Office of the Special Prosecutor on 18th June 2018 with a vehicle from the Registrar General's Department, until your office made available to her 1 Nissan Saloon car for her official assignments, which allowed her to return the vehicle from the Registrar General's Department. The governing board of the office was sworn into office on 12 July 2018, but could not hold its first meeting until a secretary for the office was eventually seconded on 1st August 2018. The board was able to hold its first meeting to elect its chairperson on 15th August 2018. The Special Prosecutor eventually succeeded in holding a meeting with the Minister for Finance and his team on 8th June 2018, following the secondment of the Chief Accountant to the office, and began the processes of having some budgetary allocation made to the office. the process of opening banking accounts with the Bank of Ghana and submitting approved signatories to the bank were only concluded on 24th August 2018. The Office of the Special Prosecutor, that's not necessary, but listen to this. After several months of request, the police administration has informed the Office of the Secretariat of 3 police detectives to form the initial corps of detectives to the office. The letter does not state when the police detectives seconded to the office are to report for duty. At the time of writing this letter, there are 13 officers, including the Special Prosecutor, the Deputy Special Prosecutor, and 4 persons from the Jubilee House, forming the staff of this office. The official vehicles assigned to the Special Prosecutor and the Deputy Special Prosecutor are the only vehicles available for the discharge of all duties of the office, including dispatch of letters. The office accommodation is woefully inadequate, with the Deputy Special Prosecutor, Secretary, and Chief Accountant not having room for their respective secretariats. And there are letters here showing that he also applied for staff to be seconded. One is Perpetua Lucia Achana from the Ministry of Special Development Initiative. The others are, secondment for accountant to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. This was a transitional phase. And you see, with all the legislative matters that happened, even by August or September, they were still in the process of putting in place some structures and some offices. As far as I'm concerned, I think there's been an overkill of a reaction, to be honest with you, which has unfortunately culminated in a resignation, which disappoints me. Let me just put this here. See, this is the parliamentary record. It says the committee was informed by the officials of the Office of the Special Prosecutor that the office recorded 0 performance in the implementation of its 2019 compensation budget due to the fact that its current staff of 17 are seconded staff who continue to draw salaries from their parent institutions. However, the Special Prosecutor and the Deputy Special Prosecutor were remunerated under Article 71 office holders from the Office of the President. Subject to the completion of the new office building in February 2020, that was an anticipation. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has planned the recruitment of 249 new staff towards the full operationalization of the office. In that regard, officials of the Office of Special Prosecutor informed the committee that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has started blind recruitment exercises and would complete the process in the year 2020. In anticipation of this exercise, for the 2020 financial year, the committee noted that an amount of 36.2 million has been allocated as compensation votes for the OSP.
Okay.